Hello, let's talk about more of our cognitive distortion skills that are coming up so much. My videos have been really talking about this a lot because there's so much of that going on there right now, where we're expecting the worst, we're catastrophizing, there's the black and white thinking. So let me get right into this today and how we can actually stop that, because as you can think, you cannot have a positive life and a negative mind in the long run. And I know that's hard. And so let's talk about that. And today I'm going to give you 3 tips on that you can implement today on how to stop expecting the worst. If you don't know me yet, so my name is Suzanne McAllister. I'm the founder of the Anxiety Academy, and every week I bring you in little tips and trips from my coaching and counseling practice and my online courses that might help you to feel less anxious even when the world is going crazy and we have so much uncertainty, which is really what my clients are struggling with the most at the minute. And I'm no exception. I'm struggling with this as well. So let's talk about this. This week, and I change the names of my clients, and I do get permission that I can tell their story because they do watch my channel. So Christine gave me permission to share her story this week. She was very, very distraught. She's been, like Melbourne is one of the cities, it's actually the city in the world that has the longest lockdown since COVID started. And it's been really wearing on people's emotional health and how they respond as well. So there's a whole uncertainty. We've worked together for a long time and repeatedly to get her anxiety in check, and she's made amazing progress. Then lockdown was over and she was out there living a great life, and now we're working together because it's been another wave of anxiety has been coming into her life. And the one was where we worked with together was like about job and job security that she was struggling with, and about her child as well, expecting the worst. And I can tell you there are many anxious mums out there right now. So if this is you, please reach out for help. You're not on your own. It's very normal. When we have children, we get so concerned with their welfare and our welfare and what is happening, and especially with COVID and the uncertainty and fears that surround us. So Christine is struggling right now because of the uncertainty about how to be, and there's a plan now how to get out of lockdown, but she's very doesn't know what to do, and she would rather stay at home until everything is done and dusted, because if that ever happens, because she's so afraid that if she goes out, then she has to completely lock down. There's like a tier 1 and a tier 1 and tier 2 situation in Melbourne right now. And she just wants to keep herself safe, and she wants to keep her son safe, obviously. So it's a hard one, isn't it? Especially when we don't know what's going on. So her thought is her mind has been on high drive and alert. It's been going like, so what happens if I get COVID? What happens if my son gets COVID? What happens if my family gets COVID? Then the whole vaccination. Shall I get it? Shall I not get it? Shall I just do what like my mom says to me? And then also when she's doing her own research, her own anxiety is going through the roof. The more videos she watches, the more reports she sees from either from yes and no side, the more anxious she gets, the more she wants to shut off, and the more her mood also drops. She can't sleep, so her anxiety is really, really high. So 3 things that have really helped her with this, and if you know me in my online courses, what you learn is skills that you can really apply, and also if you work with me one-on-one, It's all about mindfulness to figure out what is going on, to stay present in the here and now. And I am the anxious therapist because I've been managing my own anxiety for many years. Hence, I became, not only have I studied anxiety, I've studied the brain, hypnotherapy, mindfulness for many years. So therefore, I can really talk about what helped me and what helps my clients. So what we looked at first, and I do really want to say that catastrophizing and black and white thinking serves a purpose in your mind. So first of all, some self-compassion is really in order, because it's something that we have developed to protect ourselves. So there's two reasons why we do it. So one of us that it protects us from uncertainty. So if we expect the negative, we try to protect ourselves from uncertainty. And the second is that it motivates it. So we have this notion that if we expect the worst, if we expect, like if we talk to ourselves in that way, like this is terrible, you haven't done this well, you're not good enough, you're not doing this. It's kind of like whipping ourselves into motivating ourselves to do better. But as you can see, like, is this a green thought? Does it help us? Like the traffic light thinking, is this a red thought? Does it actually stop us in our development? Does it stop us in our progression? Does it stop us finding the joy and happiness in our lives? And this is always the thing that's very, very important to ask yourself. Does it bring you forwards? Does it bring you peace? Does it bring you joy? Or doesn't it? And if it doesn't, that thought doesn't, then it's time to look at something else. So the three things that we always do is like really give yourself some self-compassion. That goes first. That doesn't even come under the thing, but it's like to really to notice your language. And sometimes we have to ask our family and our friends, and journal as well. Like journal not the way we think or we would want to hear it, or what we know would be better, but like journal and blurb it all out, like you'd be doing like a brain dump and writing it down. So if you're on your own, or you live on your own, or you don't have anybody you can self-reflect with, then that's a good one. You do this brain dump where you just write it all out, and then you actually can get like a highlighter and just notice the language that you use. Is there a lot of like, oh, this is never going to be over? So like the big words is that's never going to be over. I'm always going to be locked in here. This is terrible. We all going to get COVID. I'm probably going to die. The vaccine is going to kill me. Or if I don't get it, I'm going to die. I don't know what the right thing is. Where you feel like people reject me. So all the negative things that we tend to tell ourselves, really just noticing the language that we use to ourselves. And then checking in again with your heart, and checking in and giving yourself some self-compassion. That is something that is like so overlooked with ourselves, because we're not used to. Like if that's somebody that we love, and they tell us their worst fears that might happen, we have so much compassion. If that was like one of my friends and she'd be telling me, I'm so scared, I think we're never going to get out of this, I think I'm going to die, I don't know what to do, I'm never going to see my family again. But that's also not only in the extreme cases like the COVID case. It can be going back to work after you had a child. It's like I'll never find work. There's always somebody that's more qualified than I am. They're not even going to give me a chance because I've been off work for so long. Then they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. So all the things that we tell ourselves, it's so important to really catch that. And if you have a partner, you can have that conversation as well, to ask to be made aware in a loving way, and just say, if you can ask your partner and say, hey, if I use this language of the extremes, can you just can we have a little sign? You can go never, and not like when you're having an argument or when there's tension. but like in everyday language when you have a conversation. So to notice it, to give yourself self-compassion, and then to really challenge the thought, is this likely going to happen? How likely is this is going to happen? Of course, if it's COVID, yes, but we're looking at the survival rate is very high as well. There are so many positives that are happening. There can be positives where we might be closer to our family than we've ever been, where we have realized that our family is the closest and our friends, and to really value them and spend quality time with them when we have the chance, and not to take things for granted. So there's so many things that we can be grateful for as well. So really gently challenge your thought. Is this the truth? And can I really know that this is the truth? Because that's often a thing as well. It's like a theory that we come up with, and we're like, we don't actually know. So when we bring it back to the facts and say, well, so this is what's happening right now, and leave the emotion out of it, because it's the thoughts that create the feeling of the anxiety. All right, and then the tip number 3 is then, so number 1 is like we notice it, we have the language. Number 2 is when we have that, we give ourselves self-compassion, and then we challenge the thought and really look at it. And then the third is where we replace it, or we reframe it in something that is suiting us better, like the green thoughts. So instead of saying, I'm such an idiot, I like dropped the yogurt and now it's like all over the floor, I'm such a klutz, I'm so this. It's like, oh, noticing what was going on. And was it going on is like, I was a bit stressed out about something that I just heard. And what is it that I would have needed? And it might have been where it would have been just good if I had sat down for a moment, just for 2 minutes, and taken a breath and acknowledged that I was stressed out, instead of rushing through what's going on. And I'm super guilty of that. I've actually had, like, we laughed so much, me and Christina, because I'm not the perfect therapist. As I say, I fall into this as well, and I catch myself as well. So when we do this, so reframing it and replacing it with a more helpful thoughts. Is it like the mindfulness here and now? Am I okay today? So I'm here so she's like at home with her child. Her family is actually in the zone. She can go with walks with her mom, which has been awesome. So they've been out in the sun. The weather has been really nice in Melbourne. And they're noticing a lot of nature that they've never noticed before. There's a park that's really close to them. And they're getting to know the people that come there now every day with their dogs. And they've started to say hello to each other. And it seems that there's a little bit of a community happening. So there's positive things that are happening there as well. So reframing it and figuring out what is it that you need in that moment. And asking for help. If you're like stuck, reaching out. I'm here for you. And I will put my website link is at the bottom. I have a free video series for you that you can download from my website, SuzanneMcAllister.com. And that teaches you over 5 days some very helpful tools that I've been using in my private practice for the last 10 years. Because what we do want is we want to get through this and not have our destructive thinking rule our lives. We want to be the master of our minds at some stage. And we want to do that with compassion, because hitting ourselves and beating ourselves up with a big stick has never, ever, ever, ever really worked. Otherwise, we'd be all perfect. And it is, unfortunately, a very female trait that we have. All right, so, and it does help, just like putting your hand on your heart and checking in with your heart and saying, instead of beating yourself up, just saying, yeah, maybe you dropped that because, yeah, you were rushing and you were worried, and just really taking the time for yourself and connecting to other people every day. All right, that was my 3 tips for you for this week. don't forget to go down at the links and also subscribe to the channel and click the little bell there, because then you will never miss any of my videos that I put down there every week for you, to give you some helpful tips. Thank you so much, and until next weekend.